And we are recording. Hello, everyone. I'm Tawdra Kandle. I'm the Assistant Conference Director for the 37th Annual Novelists Inc. Conference, which will take place in St. Pete Beach, Florida, from September 23rd to 26, 2026. Every year, several hundred NINC members and industry professionals attend our conference for top-tier educational workshops, high-level networking, all in a relaxed beach atmosphere. We'd love to have you join us. Please go to ninc.com for more information. That is NINC.com. And without further ado, today I'm interviewing Dave Chesson, who will be leading two workshops this year. One is Million Book Study, What Top-Selling Book Descriptions Have in Common, and Amazon's New Discovery Formula, What the 2026 A10 Data Reveals. Whew, those are some titles. There. So, Dave, would you please tell us a little bit about both workshops and what led you to want to do these this year?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one of the things I love about speaking at NINC is that, the authors in the crowd come from experience. They understand, what's going on. It's not going to be the kind of questions where it's okay, KDP, Kindle Direct Publishing. It's more or less we get to really get into the nitty gritty. And as I've done every time I come to NINC, I always like to bring something absolutely new, not something that's been seen before, anything like that. That's what I love most about NINC. And the conversations that we have before, during, and after are just some of the best. And so with that, I wanted to bring in some new research. Specifically, we see Amazon changing at a faster pace. We saw how they changed up the way that they record Amazon bestseller ranks and the time periods. This has caused a lot of authors to miss certain marks on their book launch. The other thing too is that Amazon's getting smarter, but at the same time, I'm going to say it, they're also getting a little bit dumber. I think the aspect of the dumb is more or less them actually trying to cut costs, and it's causing inefficiencies in their systems. And so we did one of the beautiful things about running Publisher Rocket is we are collecting millions and millions of data points on Amazon constantly. And Amazon doesn't like to tell you what they're doing. They don't make announcement. They don't give us a heads up. They just change things. And what's beautiful about having all those data points is that we then do some machine learning from all this data, and we find out, hey, you know what they did? They did this because the data shows that. And so in that first presentation, I'm going to be going over some of the crazy things that we've seen, where they're pivoting, where they're cutting costs, and where I actually think they're getting it right. And from that, I really think there's a lot of direct information on how authors can take that and use it for their book launches. How they should use their keywords differently, where they should place some of their marketing so as to best, shall we say, synergize with Amazon search algorithms so that they're a lot more open to getting your book out there. With regards to the second one, this has actually been kind of a passion project of mine. There are millions of books on Amazon, and quite frankly, we again looked at all of the best book descriptions that have been written for Amazon. And again, I'm going to stress that for Amazon. And what I mean by saying for Amazon is that in the digital world, the online market, the book description that's written there is different from where you would put it on the back of a book blurb or in the introduction of some, article or newspaper clipping or anything, because the way that Amazon shoppers shop is different. They're very quick. They need to be, their attention needs to be grabbed. So what we did was we analyzed over 1 million different book descriptions. And by the way, we had to kind of cut certain things out. We had to kind of shape this because I don't think it's appropriate to include, let's say, J.K. Rowling's, book descriptions because it's already a well-developed known IP. And so what we did was we analyzed it by the book categories and subcategories to see if there was any important information we can glean. And it was actually kind of shocking what we found. It even comes down to structures seem to be more prevalent in certain categories than others. The things that are highlighted seem to have more implication and higher sales than when they don't. And the beautiful part about that is by tracking the sales of these books, and again, not famous people who used their fame, their following, et cetera, to make the
Right.
sales, but people who truly enter the market, we were able to see some do's and don'ts on exactly how you can structure. Because when people did this, statistically speaking, we saw a much higher revenue than when they didn't. And so, using this information, we were able to put together kind of a really neat look into not just what sounds good, not a
Mhm.
subjective opinion on a book description, but numbers that back certain strategies that I think any author, even if they love their book description and they have something where their fans expect, you'll be surprised where a little tweak, maybe this paragraph here over that one, or a statement like this, can just bolster not just your existing crowd, but also that new shopper that discovers your book for the first time.
Oh, wow. I'm intrigued. I'm already thinking, I'm going to need to be in this one. Okay, so no, our minds are officially blown. We will cop to that. Without giving away any spoilers, and since you were really great about describing those, I'm just going to ask you to do one workshop. What practical tip can somebody who goes to your workshops expect to take away from it? Again, no spoilers,
Hmm.
and
Yeah, I think that, well, I like to design just like in kindlepreneur.com. I love every one of my articles to be something where somebody can turn around, take, and
right.
do.
Yeah.
And I definitely end these with, here's my list of things that I recommend you should consider doing. And so I'm going to
Mhm.
leave those at the end there. But they're practical steps. Or in particular for the book description one, I have considerations. What I like to tell people, and this is kind of where we're going to angle it without giving away the secret sauce yet.
Mhm.
Um, a book description is art. Okay. It
Right.
is, I'm not here to tell people, hey, change up your art. But what I will say is you build your art. Okay. You write it. I do have some recommendations on how I like to validate the art. I'll throw
Right.
that in there. But then when you've done it, here are four things. Actually, there might be more. I'm still tweaking some stuff here. Here are at least four things that you should go back through and consider heavily because of this,
Ooh.
or that you should maybe change this, or here's a test, and those sorts of things. But again, like I said, it's backed by the statistics that we're seeing, and it
Mhm.
was, and I'm a numbers person, but the
Mhm.
statistical difference was strong enough that it's a really great indicator.
Well, you're really good at interpreting numbers for us and saying, this is all the work that we did so that you don't have to do it, and this is
Yeah.
what we took away from it.
One of the things I do like to do, as you've seen before in some of my other presentations, is that instead of spending a lot of the time in the presentation of breaking down some of the nitty gritty, especially for the
Right.
numerical people out there, okay, I will cover a big discussion so that people can understand the experiment, how it was conducted, what we did, et cetera. But then I'll have a link that points to something that really breaks it down so the number of people can go through and really dig into that. So that way, like I said, the presentation just doesn't become like half of that explaining. Well, we took the regression model over here. We did it. And,
And we
but
appreciate that.
for those who like it, you'll be able to go ahead and really read
For
and
the
see.
number nerds,
Oh,
you have a link
absolutely.
for them. Wonderful. This
Yeah.
is great. Well, we appreciate that, and you are always you're so generous with sharing what you learn, not only at conferences but through email. So I always appreciate that. I always enjoy reading your emails. Okay, so you are a longtime NINC favorite speaker, but you have been
Oh,
away for a little while,
I did. Yes.
um, much to the dismay of your grandmother. Um, what are you most looking forward to being back at the beach with us this September?
Okay, and so those who don't know the grandmother story, let me just throw that in there before I answer that question.
Okay.
My grandmother Muzzy, she's in a nursing home down there, and so every time I've gone to NINC, I always go take her out for dinner. But for the insiders in NINC watching this, the standard joke is when I was in college, my grandmother used to sneak me alcohol when I was in college. Now I sneak her alcohol in her nursing home, and so we have a wonderful time. I love Muzzy.
Great.
Can't wait to see her. Um, one of the things that I love most about NINC is the conversations.
Mhm.
It's the presentations are great, but it's really great when you're just sitting there having dinner or you get your coffee. The people there, they come from all levels of experience, but experience. And I have found that no matter who you're standing next to, there's always something that you can really strike up a great conversation. You can really dig into something that somebody's doing. I think a lot of people are very open to sharing. And I've just always walked away with a bunch of like, wow, huh, that's a really good point. I never thought about that, or I'm going to have to put on my thinking cap and try that, And so I've really enjoyed that. A lot of other conferences, you're going to have a lot of authors that don't have experience, that this is
Right.
going to be their first time. And it ends up really changing the level or even uh, shall we say, the advanced level discussion starts to become
Mhm.
something that's more or less different. And so I really enjoy that about me.
And I know that you value the in-person element of conferences because you were one of our 40 people who were at the 2020 conference,
Yes, I
way
was.
back in the when we all had all the food that we wanted to eat, plus some that we could take to our room, and you could have a conversation with every single person while we were there. So, yeah,
Absolutely.
we know that you value the in-person aspect, and you're right, the networking is really, really key, and I think unique also to NINC. Okay, so people are watching this, they're so excited to see you in September. Between now and then, where can they find out more about you? And I can't imagine they haven't heard of Publisher Rocket or Kindlepreneur, but let's just pretend. So tell us where we can find you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, my website, kindlepreneur.com, is my main place where I'm constantly working to either learn, grow, experience, experiment, and write about those changes. So you can find me there. I have a contact page in case there's any questions that arise or you're like, wait a second, he said what? You can always reach out to me. And I still answer those to this day. And yeah, always building on Publisher Rocket as well as Atticus. So just always involved in the technical side of the world. And it's funny as Tawdra won't say it here, but I remember when Atticus was just an idea, I actually presented it to her, the name and
Oh,
everything, and I actually at NINC was able to get the final confirmation of yes, that's the name. So
it is. There's a
little
lot of
special place in
people
my heart there.
very appreciative of that and love that. So we're so glad that you brought that. And yeah, I always, that's my claim to fame. If I have nothing else, Atticus is there. So okay, so if you are watching this and you're interested in joining us and attending Dave's sessions at the 37th annual NINC conference, please go to ninc.com, NINC.com, for more information and to purchase your ticket. Thanks, Dave, and we will see you in September at the beach.